Hello Channel NITT viewers, I am DS, a psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. So today, as you can see, we have a guest over here.
Hi, my name is Paul. I'm a psychology student and I'm actually an INTP.
Yay! So finally, because there are a lot of viewers who have requested us for an INTP ENTJ episode, so we finally managed to get an INTP on our show. So the INTP actually is very interesting because it's a shadow function of the ENTJ. So we have exactly the same function. So our first function is a thinking function, our second function is an intuitive function, third function sensing function, and the fourth function is a feeling function. But all our functions are opposites, they are shadow functions of each other. So are we more similar or are we more different? So this is going to be what we're going to talk about in this episode. So let's start playing a game, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to think of 3 attributes that I think really describe the ENTJ, or at least myself, and I'm going to ask you to give a scale to give a number from 1 to 10, how much you agree or think you are like this attribute. So 10 being I'm very like this. Okay, after that we can swap and you can say some 3 different attributes that describe you, and I'll figure out whether they describe me as well. Okay? So the first attribute that I think of that describes the ENTJ is eccentric.
Eccentric.
Would you describe yourself as eccentric?
I would say
Okay, from a scale of 1 to 10.
1 to 10, 10 being the most eccentric.
Yes. No, just very like me.
I would say maybe 7 or 6. 6. I think it's 6.
Why do you think so?
I think it's relative to other people, so I don't think I'm that different. I have some of my tastes are quite common, but I think there are specific things that I like that are very different from others. So in some areas,
like tattoos, is
like
it?
tattoos, or like my sometimes the movies I like is a bit weird, the music I like is a bit weird. But other things are quite common, like my fashion sense is quite basic.
Can you tell me what the music that you like a bit weird is like? What type of music?
Oh, I like my taste in music is very broad, but then it's always very obscure, very indie stuff.
Oh.
So it's a bit different from everyone else. Then sometimes I recommend songs to my friends and they're like, huh, what is this?
Okay, maybe you can recommend one later.
Okay.
Okay, the second attribute that I think described the ENTJ well is how to say not sociable, but not antisocial, just not sociable.
Not sociable. I will give myself a 6 also. I think 5 or 6 lah. I think it depends on the situation. If it's a very big group, like a party, a gathering, then also depends on the demographic. If it's people that are very different from me, like very atas or what, then very hard for me to mix in with them. But then if it's like 1-to-1, I can actually start to open up if I'm comfortable with the person. I'm not super like guarded or I don't have very high walls lah. I think it's just big crowds. I don't do very well in big crowds.
This is interesting because so far you're given a 6 and a 6. I'm not too sure whether you are the type who likes to take the middle road. Because for me, I can be quite extreme. When I really agree with it, I will give a 9 or 10. I'm very liberal with the numbers.
I know. But when I try to think of the question, then I have situations that pop up in my mind that is like, oh yeah, I'm very sociable. But then also that situation pop up like, oh yeah, actually, sometimes I get a bit anxious lah in certain groups.
Is this because of NE or?
Actually, I'm not too sure. So.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
The third attribute that I think describes the ENTJ, that I want to know whether it really describes the INTP, is rational.
Oh, rational. I think that would be maybe a 8.
Oh, okay, good.
8 or 9 for me. Yeah. I think for me the first thing that comes to my mind when I have a situation or something that I'm not sure of, first thing I always do is find the logic and the rationale and try to figure out what's happening. Like even if things that are very hard to rationalize, like losing a loved one or going through like a breakup or something like that, I'll try to rationalize it automatically, like, oh, this thing happened, or this thing could have been done differently, or if only I done this, or what do I do now, like what's the next step to do. That's how normally for me lah, that's how I process a lot of things lah.
Okay, so I have an idea. So later, after this episode, right, we're going to have an additional episode with the INTP ENTJ interaction, talking about how we answer questions or how we think. Okay? But that will be later. So have you thought of 3 adjectives that describe yourself that you want to test me about?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, my first one will be I'm quite disorganized.
Oh.
Usually very disorganized. Like my room, my notes, like I have files in my computer that is like file 1, file 2, but actually sometimes I don't know what is what. But actually it's like a copy of the same, like I edit the different files, but it's like very messy. Then my room is always super disorganized, and my clothes lying around. Then my parents have to come and nag me like, hey, please pack your room.
You never watched my episode, right? Because I have a lot of episodes that talk about the ENTJ being very messy and disorganized. So in that regard, right, now you are in a room, you know, actually, only the background looks proper, but everything else, right, is just in a mess. So I have also had an episode where I showed my shower, the bathroom, right, because it was disgusting. So I think in that regard, yes, I'm surprised to hear that the INTP is actually messy, because I thought that only the ENTJ is messy and disorganized.
I don't know, I've been like that my whole life. And then my mom always asks me why. Then I always tell her, I don't know, I just never, it doesn't cross my mind to go and tidy up. I feel like most of my time I'm like living in my own head, so I don't really pay attention to.
Disorganized physically lah, but
physically
cognitively not.
I know, yeah, it's not, because I know where everything is. Like if I'm looking for something, I know exactly where my wallet is. I know where this lotion is, where my contact lens solution is. I know where everything is.
I know.
It's just that it's all over the place. Yeah. But if you go to my brother's room, for example, everything's super organized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Must be an SI. Okay. Next adjective.
Next adjective, I would say I actually it's quite similar to your last one. I was gonna say I have trouble dealing, but it's more personal. I have trouble dealing with like romantic relationships or close friendships. Like when I get too close to someone, I feel it's hard to approach certain topics and to get close to a person. I feel like I always hit a wall. I hit a certain barrier, so it's hard for me to get very close to someone. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that sounds like an INTJ trait, no?
Is it?
I don't know. You find it very hard to get close to someone. I think maybe next time we can ask more INTPs if we have the opportunity to ask whether this is INTP trait or it's your own personal.
It could be me lah. Maybe some past experience. I'm also not sure.
I personally think that I am very choosy when it comes to knowing people. So I observe a person. I want to know whether there's an alignment, whether there are things to talk about. But once I accept this person as a friend or maybe a potential date or partner, then I think there's no such problem. I wouldn't have such problem. We can talk about anything.
I feel for me it's more of I can get close to people, but then up to a certain point, like when I start to get really, like for example, if I start dating this girl, for example, the first few months will be quite okay. Like I can talk about my family, I can talk about things. Then by the time we start to like things get serious, right? I think I have like an issue with like commitment. And like getting really close to someone and like committing to someone. Does that make sense?
I understand.
Yeah.
I don't have such problems.
Yeah.
I am ready to commit. Next.
And last one is I feel I can be quite manipulative. Yeah. I feel like in every situation I always plan out, like automatically. It's not something I'm like consciously doing all the time. It's just unconsciously I plan out like, okay, this person is like I'm like strategizing how to like make every interaction work in my benefit. Does that make sense?
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I am shocked to hear this kind of thing. Okay, I'm not too sure whether I would use manipulative to describe myself, but let's say if I want my way, then I will try to think of different ways to get it. So let's say my most preferred way of getting things done, right, is through email. Let's say for example, right, I want to complain about this particular lecturer. Last time when I was working in a previous institution, right, let's say this person is not doing his job, then I was CC the head of department, this. and explain in such a way that it's very innocent, you know, something like that. But actually, I am trying to get the heads to know that this person is not doing the job they're supposed to be done, and I want to take over, you know, something like that. So in that regard, yes lah, but I seldom go to that kind of extent. And now I have already officially put myself out of many organizations. So all this politics, I know that I don't want to play. But if I had wanted to play politics, I definitely can.
I know exactly. I think I'm like that also. Because I used to work in a retail environment, so the retail environment is super political. But it came very naturally for me. I just started working and I kind of figure out, like, when I observe these two people, I know, okay, I size up, okay, their relationship is about like that, they're quite close. Or these people don't like each other, even though they're like on the surface they're very friendly. So I know how to like make the right alliances in a way to survive lah, I guess. Yeah, that's always been for me something about me lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, something very interesting about the INTP and the ENTJ interaction is, right, on paper, and then if you go and Google internet, right, the INTP is supposed to be the most compatible person for the ENTJ, you know? The perfect match. Yeah. But in a lot of my previous episodes, I have actually mentioned that I don't really enjoy interacting with INTPs.
You mentioned that in class also.
Oh yeah. But for you, I think it's quite different. Maybe you are a different type of INTP lah, because there are INTP J type, INTP A and INTP T. So we have to look at which type you actually are, and also it also depends on how much you allocate to each of the different functions lah. Because for me, I cannot stand TI. Your TI doesn't come across too strong, so which is actually acceptable for an INTP for me. Okay. Okay, so in our future episodes, then Paul will come on show again, and we'll be discussing a lot of other different things. So we really hope that you like this episode. So if you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more INTP, ENTJ, and MBTI. Okay, so for now we're going to sign off, and we'll see you again in our next episodes. Bye bye.